Well, as we mentioned, the firing of James Comey has came as a surprise to the FBI officials.
That's right. For more, we want to bring in former FBI Assistant Director Ron Hosko. He's also a CBS News security analyst. Ron, I'm sure it's a busy morning for you, but let's tap into your perspective, your experience with the FBI. What does a shakeup like this mean for the Bureau?
You know, Vlad, fortunately, internally, the FBI is bigger than any one person. And here, even though the employees over there were shocked, stunned, surprised by this announcement and how it came, the organization is going to move forward. I would assure you that this morning there are ongoing meetings about cases, about events across the country, and the mission of the FBI is going to move forward even without Jim Comey. I think there's certainly recrimination and regret. He had plenty of support inside that building, much broader than would be characterized on some of the broadcast comments. But the FBI is going to move forward.
You know, there have been a lot of questions about what will happen with James Comey and his files, the stuff in his office. He was in California at the time when the news broke. He was alerted on television that he was fired. And so there were several hours in between where he was not at his FBI office or you know, in the area. Who's responsible for these files? Who controls them now? Is the office sealed as soon as the announcement is made?
Well, Anne-Marie, it's important to understand the structure of the organization. First, you know, Jim Comey was not himself conducting the Hillary Clinton investigation, nor is he conducting the Russian influence investigation. That's an FBI investigation. It's typically going to be, the groundwork is going to be done by agents, some supervisory personnel who have the immediate supervision responsibility. All of that information is going to be contained in electronic case files. And all of that is ultimately FBI records that will be archived, that will be maintained. Jim Comey's personal communications on his device, all of those records will be on an FBI server. So I don't think there should be no fear that something is going to go missing that was impacting on a case. Certainly, the director probably has a ledger book like many of us carried that we took personal notes in during meetings, and that may well go with him, but those are going to be notes of meetings, and other people who attended those meetings will have those notes as well. Those are not public records, so they wouldn't be maintained in the same way, but the case files are the files, and they will be there forever.
Ron, I want to excuse me. I want to ask you a question about the letter that President Trump sent to Director Comey, where he references in the letter that the FBI director told him on 3 separate occasions that he was not the target of this investigation into whether or not the Trump campaign may have colluded with Russia. What is your take on that? That could have possibly happened. Is it, in your mind, in your experience, something that could have happened? And the fact that, as you've been listening to pundits for the last 24 hours talking about this, that both Democrats and Republicans had a problem with the FBI director, isn't that, in a way, a badge of honor?
Well, that's a great question, Vlad. First, you know, the director I think he made plenty of enemies on both sides. You know, one of the congressmen or senators said the other day after the hearings that, I'm paraphrasing, but he said that he was being asked if he still had confidence in the director. And he said he did, and that he saw Jim Comey as kind of an equal opportunity offender, that there were people on the left and the right who took offense to what he did. And that suggested to this senator that Jim Comey was probably doing the right thing. And that really is in many ways the role of the FBI director, is to be apolitical, and that may well mean people on both sides are offended. I will tell you in my personal experience, I had tens of thousands of cases under me. Some of the most sensitive were on senior elected officials on the left and on the right. And it didn't matter to us their party affiliation. The facts and the law are what mattered to me, to the investigators, and to Jim Comey. So the fact that he was an equal opportunity offender maybe did suggest he was doing the right thing here. As to the president's letter, I thought it was completely self-serving. Whether it's true or not, we'll all be speculating about. I would be surprised if Jim Comey took the time and had a sidebar with the president and said, "Don't worry, Mr. President, you're not the subject of any investigation." He would be out of bounds to do so. I think Jim Comey takes very seriously his job, and I think what he did and what he's essentially being accused of failing in, there are conditions around that that are explainable. Some may choose not to believe it. As to the comments today and yesterday in D.C., listen, we're in Washington, D.C. Hypocrisy here is a mile deep. People who were doubting this director and questioning him and challenging him a week ago are now some of his loudest defenders. And so, rest assured that those voices who are defending him just see Jim Comey as the tool. They are not shedding a tear because Jim Comey is out of his job. They want to use this act by the president as a stick to beat the president. And the same is true of voices on the right.
All right, Ron Hosko, thank you so much for your time.
My pleasure.